The key to success is to focus our conscious mind on things we desire, not things we fear. Good morning, all of you. With this thought, I welcome you all. The topic which I'm taking today is verbs. Now, verbs, all of you know, these are action words, doing words. Now, in this chapter, we are going to study transitive and intransitive verbs. With that, complete predication. Now, starting with transitive and intransitive verbs. A verb is a word that states something about a person or thing, telling something about a person or thing, what they are doing in the sentence. Ram laughs. What this noun Ram is doing? Laughing. So laughs is a verb. The dog is dead. Boy ran quickly. Now we have some more sentences here. The policeman arrested the thief. What policeman is doing? Arresting. So arrested is verb. The Arab wounded the soldier. Verb is wounded. The boys are eating their food. So are eating is verb here. Now what's there in these sentences? The policeman arrested. Arrested whom? The thief. So this action done by this subject, the policeman is subject, arrested is verb, the thief is object. So policeman is doing this action and this action is passing over to this object, the thief. So from subject to the verb and from the verb to the object. Therefore, this is known as transitive verb. Transitive verb means passing over. The Arab wounded the soldier. This action is affecting this object or passed over to this object, the soldier. So this is transitive verb. Wounded is transitive verb. The boys are eating their food. Boys subject are eating verb and it is passing over to this object, their food. So are eating is transitive verb. So what are transitive verbs? The verbs which carry objects to complete their meaning. They are known as transitive verbs. Now one thing is given there in this note. If you can provide a reasonable answer to the question, what or whom, after a verb, the verb is transitive. This is another way to find out whether that verb is transitive or intransitive. I'm taking these sentences again. The policeman arrested whom? So this is answering whom? The thief. So this is transitive verb. The Arab wounded the soldier. So Arab wounded whom? The soldier. This is transitive verb. The boys are eating their food. The boys are eating what? Your answer is their food. So this is transitive verb. So you are getting the answer of what or whom. So in that condition, that verb is transitive verb. When you have object there, that is transitive verb. Now, next point, some more sentences here. Silence is golden. Sita seems happy. The boy sleeps. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Now what's there? In these cases, the action of the verb does not pass over from the doer or the subject to an object. Is this silence is subject, then is here verb, I'm golden. So we don't have any object there. This subject, whatever is doing, it's not passing over to an object. The action or state is represented as complete in itself. The action stops with the doer. The verb is seems, sleeps, rises, and sits are therefore called intransitive verb. So there in these sentences, we don't have any object. The sentence is getting over with the verb only here. So in this case, these verbs is, seems, sleeps, sits, rises. They are known as intransitive verb. They are not passing over to the object, or we don't have any object in these sentences. So these verbs are known as intransitive verbs. Now one note is given here. Intransitive means not transitive or not passing over. Transitive means passing over to the object, and intransitive not passing over or transferring to the object. So when you don't have any object with the verb given, but the sentence is giving complete meaning, that time the verb is known as intransitive verb. An intransitive verb is a verb that denotes a state or an action that is complete in itself. If any state is given there, situation given there, or an action given there, and it is not carrying an object, it is complete in itself, that time it is intransitive verb. It does not pass over to an object. So it is intransitive verb. Okay. An intransitive verb expressing being takes the same case after it as before it. What does that mean? See this example. It was she. We are not writing her here. So we are using that pronoun only. What we used here, that means the personal pronoun. Who won the first prize? So in that case, we are using was, that is the forms of be, her. After that, the pronoun, what we are using here, it's the same subjective case. So we are using personal here, it, and personal here only, she. We are not writing it was her. We'll write it was she, it was he, that way. Next point, some transitive verbs. Examples here given here: ask, give, offer, promise, tell, etc. Take two objects after them. So some transitive verbs, they carry two objects. What they are known as indirect or direct object. Now, what is indirect object and what is direct object? Let's read this thing. An indirect object which denotes the person to whom something is given or for whom something is done. That is known as indirect object. We usually take persons for indirect object, for whom something is done or that action is done, or to whom it is affected. Direct object, which is usually the name of something. If something is given there, some object given there, that is direct object. It's not a person, something is there. So that is direct object. It is affecting, that action is affecting that object directly. So that is direct object. Usually the indirect object, if it is short, comes before the direct object. Normally in the sentences, what we find that we use indirect object first and then direct object after that. Let's see this table here. It's given. You will understand direct and indirect object. Some examples given here. He gave me an apple. He is subject, gave is verb. After that, we have two objects given here, me and an apple. It's person, so me is indirect object, and apple. It's a thing here, so this is direct object. And what we studied in the previous point, indirect object usually comes before direct object. So before an apple, we are writing me. He taught his sons English. Two objects here, his sons and English. So English is direct object. His sons, indirect. Taught what? English. To whom? His sons. So answer of what is direct and answer of to whom is indirect object. The teacher told us a story. Told us what? A story. So a story is direct object. And to whom it was told? Us. That is indirect object. The principal promised us a holiday. A holiday, direct object, and us, indirect object. He offered me some money. He offered me what? Some money. So that is direct object. He offered whom or to whom? That money is offered to whom? Me. So me is indirect object. Will you buy me a few apples? Buy me what? A few apples. So that is direct object. And apples for whom? Me. So me is indirect object. This is a simple way of finding direct and indirect object. If the word is answering to whom or for whom, then it is indirect object. If it is answering what or whom, that is direct object. You should buy yourself a new hat. Buy yourself what? A new hat. That is direct object. And for whom? Yourself. So this is indirect object. Will you make me a cup of tea? Will you make me what? Answer is a cup of tea. So this is direct object. And this cup of tea is for whom? Me. So this is indirect object. Can you get me a dozen eggs? Get me what? Answer is a dozen eggs. So this is direct object. And this object, a dozen eggs for whom? For me. So this is indirect object. I hope you have understood how to identify direct object and indirect object in a sentence if two objects are given. These sentences, that is above one, can be rewritten with the direct object first, followed by a preposition to or for, and the indirect object. In this, we have written indirect object first and then direct object later. But these sentences can be written in these ways also. He gave an apple to me. Now we are using direct object first and indirect object in the last. But in that condition, you have to use these prepositions here, 2 or 4. He taught English to his sons. And here the sentence was, he taught his sons English. So if we are changing the position of direct and indirect objects, you have to use the prepositions for or to. The teacher told a story to us. The principal promised a holiday to us. He offered some money to me. Will you buy a few apples for me? And your sentence in the above table was, will you buy me a few apples? Can you spare a few minutes for me? You should buy a new hat for yourself. Will you make a cup of tea for me? Can you get a dozen eggs for me? So in these sentences, we are using prepositions here. Prepositions are to, for, on, in, into, with, since. These are prepositions. Okay. So in the previous table, we wrote sentences using indirect object first and direct object later. But if you want to write the other way, direct object first and indirect object later, you can write, but you have to use prepositions here, to and for. Okay. Now, next point. There are some verbs which, without any change of form, can be transitive or intransitive according to the sense. Let's see. Here we have some sentences. One side we have transitive and other side we have intransitive verbs. He walks his horse every day. So here he is subject. And one more thing I have to tell you, what is subject and predicate. So he is subject and walks his horse every day. This is predicate. The horse drew the cart. The horse subject. Drew the cart is predicate. Okay, come to that first one. He walks his horse every day. He subject, walks verb, object is his horse. Okay. Now same verb we can use as intransitive also. So this is a sentence. The horse walks. Now here we don't need any object to complete the meaning. Meaning is complete in itself. So here walks is intransitive. The horse drew the cart. After this verb drew, we have this object, the cart. So this is transitive verb. He drew near me. In this sentence, we don't have object here after this verb. So this is intransitive verb. The driver stopped the train. The driver subject, stopped verb, and action is passing over to this object, the train. So this is transitive. Stopped is transitive verb. Now see this intransitive. The train stopped suddenly. No object we are using here. So here stopped is intransitive. Next sentence. He flew his kite every day. He subject, verb is flew, and flew what? His kite. So his kite is object. So this is transitive verb. The boy's kite flew. So this sentence is getting over at this word flew. No object after this. So this is intransitive verb. He floated the boat. Floated is verb. After that, the sentence is carrying or the verb is carrying an object, the boat. So the boat is there. That's why this floated is transitive verb. The boat floated. No object given here. So floated is intransitive verb. The chaprasi rang the bell. Rang verb. After that you have this object, the bell. So this is transitive verb. The bell rang. So this is intransitive. Why? Because rang is not carrying any object with it. So this is intransitive verb. He moves the table. So after moves, you have this object, the table. This is transitive. The earth moves. No need of object there. Sentence is itself complete. So this is intransitive verb. I hope you have understood the difference between transitive and intransitive verb. Next point. An intransitive verb may become transitive when combined with the preposition. How? They laughed at her. We are adding here. We are using preposition at and then her. So it has become transitive. It is acting as an object here. No one relies on her word. So we are using preposition on and her word we are writing here. So this is transitive now. He looked at preposition and what? The sun. So the sun is object here. He looked, this sentence is complete in itself. But if you want to add an object there, you have to use a preposition. He looked into the matter. Into is preposition. The matter is object there. We talked about preposition, the affair. So we are changing this intransitive to transitive. Next point. Some intransitive verbs take after them an object, similar in meaning to the verb. Such an object is called a cognate object. I'll explain with these examples. What is that? He lived a virtuous life. He lived, only this sentence is intransitive, but it is carrying this object, a virtuous life. Life is there. And the meaning of this object is similar to this verb, that is lived. Lived and life related to each other, meaning somewhat same. So this life is known as cognate object. They fought a brave fight. Fought as verb. We are using this object, a brave fight. This fight meaning is somewhat same with this fought. So fight is cognate object. The boys ran what? A race. And race meaning is similar to this ran. So this is cognate object. He died a glorious death. Here death is object and it is related with this died. They are somewhat same in meaning. So death is cognate object. She laughed a hearty laugh. Laugh is object. She laughed itself is an intransitive verb or intransitive sentence. We are adding object here, a hearty laugh, and this laugh is an object, and the meaning of this word is similar to the meaning of this verb, laughed. So laugh is cognate object. Sita sang a sweet song. So object here with the verb sang is song. Song and sang. Somewhat similar meaning. So song is cognate object, right? I hope you have understood what are cognate objects. When we use object with the intransitive verbs and the meaning of the object is similar to the verb, that is cognate object. Okay. Now, next point. Some transitive verbs can be used intransitively. Now, how? One side you have transitive and one side you have intransitive. He eats bread. Here, after eats, we are using object bread. So this is transitive verb. Now we are using same verb in intransitive. We eat to live. So after eat, we are not writing any object. So this is intransitive verb. The girl broke the glass. Here after broke, you have this object, the glass. So this is transitive. We can use broke as intransitive also. The glass broke. No object after that. This is intransitive. He burnt his hands. Verb is burnt. Object is his hands. So this is transitive. He burnt with rage. So no object there. This is intransitive. The wind shook the house. Shook is verb. Shook what? The house. So this is object. And this is transitive verb. The earth shook. So after this verb shook, we don't have any object. So this is intransitive. One more sentence. They opened the door. So after this verb opened, you have the door. So this is transitive verb. The door soon opened. Opened we are using here as verb, but after that, no object given. So in this sentence, open is intransitive verb. So this way we can use same verbs in transitive also and intransitive also. Okay, both ways we can use. So for today, this much is enough. Tomorrow, I'll take next part of this chapter. I hope you have understood transitive and intransitive verb. So that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, all of you.